Welcome in, everybody, to Browns Film Breakdown. We are happy to be here with you. I have been, Jake here, your host, been a little under the weather. Not the best time of the year to be under the weather. It is not ideal with it being draft week, but if we can get this out of the way early in the week and then the latter portion of the week when we will be live on YouTube as a reminder, that would be lovely to get it out of the way. So we're hoping in the next 48 hours out of the system can move on and create the content we need for the site. We'll be there no matter what. It'd be nice if I could feel a little bit better. That'd be great. But we plug forward. We are going to have tomorrow at some point, hopefully early in the morning, my final long form mock draft that is aimed to be as predictive as possible in this area. So keep your eye out for that. And then we will have some fun during the draft day stuff for you guys as well, the morning of, leading up into the first round, in which we will go live at 8:00 for that one, right at the start of the draft, to see the Titans confirm today that they are going to sit still at the first overall pick and take Cam Ward. And then, it seems like it just more and more Browns taking Travis Hunter at 2 is coming out, but there is still the fielding of calls. So we will keep our eyes on that. A couple quick house cleaning reminders. If you're listening to this pod audio form, rate and review. That's the way to support us. That'd be lovely. And then if you're on YouTube, a thumbs up and subscription would be awesome as well, and also get you notified when we go live on Thursday. And then also, if you could, come over and join the site where we have some awesome join opportunities, including a free trial, so you can see what it's like inside the community that we have formed here. I think it's all well worth your time. And if you are so inclined to do the Founders channel, which is a great tier of subscription for us, you can get a free Browns Film Breakdown hat and join our Slack, which is full, I'm telling you, every day, man, full of Browns discourse that makes this entire adventure more fun. So with that said, I welcome in Scott. And Scott, you had a theory for a podcast that I think is good here. It's called the Orange Dot Stamp of Approval Theory. And this comes from your time inside the Browns. So walk through kind of the premise of this, like what you're putting on the line as a scout when you do this sort of thing. I know we're going to use a different sort of framework on this, but it's just the theory I think people should be interested in.
Yeah, so the Orange Dot was set up by AB. As far, I don't know if it was anyone else had input or where he got it from, but my first year, or the first round of draft meetings, like the Orange Dot was basically the scouts' chance to pound the table for a guy. It didn't have to be like the best player in it for like an area guy. They see so many players. They could put an orange dot on, multiple guys, probably no more than like 3 or 4. Cause like if you just start putting orange dots on everybody, then there's really no point in putting the orange dot on a guy. But like, I didn't go out to as many schools as those guys. So like I kept it to like 1, possibly 2, but typically 1 guy. And it's just like you're putting your belief behind that guy, with what you've seen on tape. And then also, like, especially when you go into school, like what the background of the guy is and how that like can work into your overall grade. Like, I've been talking about the probability grades that we used. And, for a guy to get like a 4 or 5, you probably had to feel pretty confident that his background and like his work ethic is what he puts in when nobody's watching, like that kind of stuff. All that is going to, carry over into the league and, help this guy who doesn't have to be the best player. So there may be some deficiencies, but like help him work on those deficiencies and get better and become as well-rounded of a player as the guy can. So like, it's really your chance to like put your, like I say, your belief behind a guy. And, you can be right on guys, you can be wrong on guys. Like I think the last one I put on my last year was I went to Syracuse, and the corner they had Garrett Williams, who's with the Cardinals now. Like, I love that dude. He was a great guy off the field. Really tough, really solid corner. I wanted him to come to the Browns and be a nickel, and like obviously ended up in Arizona, but like that is, the most recent example I had of the orange dot. So like now, what we're going to do, like we don't have the full background that like you'd get if you went into the school. But like you can also just go off of what you see. So like, I know we got some guys here that we're going to put the Browns film breakdown orange dot stamp seal of approval,
right.
stone cold lead pipe lock of the week.
Yeah, some of it is like where you're picking, right? So like if you were picking 16th in the first round, you could stamp 5 guys that are going to be taken in the first 7 picks. Like, okay,
Right.
great. And some of that is what we're trying to avoid, but some of it we can't avoid when you're picking second. And it gets a little bit tricky there. But if you wanted to, in theory here, I mean, I think you could go well beyond just the name that I'm going to pick. And I know you are, obviously, but like, I would stamp like Ashton Genty and Mason Graham. These are guys that I think are going to be really good. Abdul Carter are really good NFL players, right? So I would have no problem, giving those guys that stamp and feeling quite comfortable with it. I think, again, you guys know how I feel about him, but at this spot, with how paramount it is, for the theory we're using, which is we're going to do a guy for day 1, day 2, and day 3, understanding that the lines can be a little blurred in terms of the true value of guys. We are going to, sort of go off the consensus boards as best we can, but I'm going Hunter just because it's the pick and it's a magnet. It's just it's a huge pick, and obviously I would at this spot stamp Cam Ward if he was there, but we obviously know now more than ever he's not going to be there. But I mean, it comes down to like, who do you believe in most? If you ignore that the quarterback fit for me is not right at 2, I just believe in everything about Hunter, the profile athletically, the production based on opportunity in college, and everything you hear about the person, the student, the leader. I'm not doing anything out on a limb here, but I think, again, when we're focused on the number 2 pick, it's like, well, hey man, stamp one of these guys who are not Cam Ward because he's gone. That's the guy I would stamp. And it is a fully faceted grouping of things here with him. Yes. Do they need more offense? Yes. Do the excitement of him being a guy who is able to play both ways and be unicornish in that regard, a part of it? Yeah, a little bit. But like, I think everything you heard about what Myles Garrett has struggled with from a leadership standpoint, and everything you hear that Abdul Carter kind of comes into the league with from a leadership standpoint, the Browns need more of these types of people. The people who don't need to be pushed to be a leader, the people who can lead with the right example at the right way all the time, who are on time, who do things right. Like, he embodies so many of those things I think that they really need, Scott. So like, again, not out on a limb here, but I also know that this is probably the only day 1 opportunity they have. Like, what is there, like maybe a 10-15% chance they trade back in late? It's not nothing, but for the sake of this, and I know you agree with me, and we don't want to repeat each other too much. The years is going to be different, but like, just the Hunter thing is too obvious for me, and I think that's why I would stamp that. And I've been saying this for weeks and months now, so people are probably tired of hearing it, but this is where I would go with that.
I think that's fair. Like, I pointed out that like it doesn't have to be the best player in your area to get an orange dot. Like, but I think everything you laid out is like perfectly fits what the spirit of the orange dot was for the Browns. Like, if it's almost like icing on the cake that he happens to be arguably the best player available in the draft and like the best athlete in the draft. So like, you get an outstanding player with an excellent person. Like, I think that really is more than fair to be the stamp of the guy. And like, yeah, I mean, if we've been talking about this for weeks, like with this guy, like, yeah, he's should be the pick at 2. Like, again, if they go with Carter, fine. But like, he is such a well-rounded like person on top of being this like great athlete that you can make potentially one of the best players in football. So I think that's a pretty solid pick for your day 1 guy.
All right, Scott. So I know that yours is a little different than mine in terms of the ranges, right? Like, obviously it's Dart is more kind of consensus in the 30s, but there's certainly a world where he's taken in the late first round. So I think this is a fair take. And to be transparent here, I'm not trying to speak for you. You might stamp the approval of taking him at 2 because, everybody, it's not always universal in these draft rooms where everybody has the same take. Whereas like, maybe there's a range of guys you would take at 2 that you're stamping, and this might be one of them. So I don't want to speak for you. So talk us through why you feel this way here.
Yeah, so I don't. So I agree with you. Yes, like not everybody has the same opinion in the room. Typically, I think when it's a guy like Hunter, which we presume they'll take it too, like that kind of like athlete kind of makes everybody kind of get in line, and the opportunity to get an athlete like that, helps everyone kind of come together. I wouldn't pass on Hunter at 2. Like I think that he's got to be the pick. And like it, I don't know what they could get for trading out of 2, but like I think that'd be a lot to give, or you'd be missing out on a big time player by trading out 2. Now with Dart, I'm comfortable trading back in to get him to the first, so that's why I put the first round orange dot stamp on him. Like, I mean, yeah, I've been on the Dart train for a while here. I just think that he does a lot more NFL quality things than I think people give him credit for. He's gotten better every year at Ole Miss. He's played a lot of games, which is a big factor historically on quarterbacks panning out. I think that like he has the tools, he has the production that can translate to the NFL. Like I wish that I don't know what the split would be in the building now. I think like I'm sure Ward is pretty high on everyone's list. I don't know exactly where Dart would fall within the building. I would you know pound the table for him, and I'd be comfortable moving back into the first to get him. I mean, you see a lot of recent, like, I mean, Shedeur Sanders is like falling left and right in a lot of these mocks. So like, I think that makes me feel like the probability of Dart being there at late in the first to come back in might be better. But yeah, like, I mean, I just think he does a lot that translates to the league that, not everybody's giving him credit for. So like, I would be in favor of moving back into the first round.
Yeah, this is your guy. I mean, I'm totally
Yeah.
with it, man. Standing on this is like a part of the process, right? Sometimes we get them right, sometimes we get them wrong. I don't think, and I've echoed this through the process. I don't think I'd move off 33 to go and get him, but Dart is one of the 3 there that I'd be fine with if they made that move. So ultimately, again, this is not a black and white process, the draft, and the ability to move up and take one of the guys, if they all inside the building unanimously love them, go for it. That's what it needs to be, a spot where people really like and believe in what they're doing. And if that's the case, that there's no other way to do it. You can't play both sides of the fence. So I like it, man. We're going to see Dart's career, and then we're going to circle back to your first orange stamp player here in the next few years, Scott. It'll be fun. All right. So my day 2, and he could get to day 3, but I don't see how. But Ozzie Trapia is a guy that I love. I mean, his story is really cool, Scott. Like, it's cool. It's cool in a sad way. His dad was an exceptional offensive lineman at Boston College, blocked for Doug Flutie, the big game and the Hail Mary game. He was on that offensive line. Drafted like in the 4th round in the late 80s, 87. I think he played 4 or 5 years as a guard, and then he passed away early at a 39-year-old. He was in a heart attack. And so Ozzie's story kind of is like rooted in not having his dad around as he grew up, and like being this exceptional athlete, this gigantic guy, good at basketball, great at baseball. Had to take birth certificates to Pop Warner games because of how big he was, but followed his dad's footsteps into the same high school and ultimately led him to BC and stayed loyal to BC through like Adazio to Jeff Hafley to Bill O'Brien. And like, if you listen to Bill O'Brien talk about him, just the person, just like an amazing account for how highly they think of him there. He's not a perfect player. I do think he's going to struggle with some speed elements of the game at times. I think he can play tackle. I just think at times that's the sort of corner that's going to get him. But he can do so many things functionally well, and he can move people in the gap game where he's down blocking and trying to create holes and displacement. And I really do believe in the player. And you hear enough people talk about the person. I mean, obviously a really strong academic profile in college on top of coming out of high school. He had Yale and Northwestern. He had a 4.0. So like all of the stuff that you want to say like is going to like he's very little injury history, a ton of starts at the college level, 44 total starts. He's got some diversity as a right tackle, 10 at left tackle, couple at guard. Like he, at the minimum for me, if he's going to be your 3rd round pick, at the minimum is going to be a swing tackle that's going to be a really nice swing tackle. But I think he's got starter upside, and really, really think it meshes well with where the Browns will be when they get up there at the top of the 3rd round. So I hope he's there. I don't think he will be, but I hope he's there. But he's the day 2 guy. I would sticker and feel really good about it.
Yeah, and I know you've been high on him for a little while here. Like I think that's how you describe him as a great like, late day 2 pick. My guy was another offensive lineman we'll get to. Like, these guys aren't necessarily gonna come in, and they're not gonna come in and play right away, more than likely, unless there's an injury, because the team is still fairly set along the O line. But like, getting guys into the system early with traits and athletic ability to build on and develop. Like, I mean, if you can seamlessly go from, Bitonio, Teller, Conklin, Posick, like, to the next guy because he's been there for a year or 2, like, I mean, that's huge. So I think this would be a quality, like, value pick, on day 3 and day 2. And if he's there at day 3 at the top of the 4th, like, I think that's even better of a value pick.
Yeah. I mean, your guy is Charles Grant, which is Dane's 8th ranked offensive tackle. He has him inside the top 100, pick 89 on his board, is his top 100 rank. And I think Ozzie was the 7th offensive tackle, like late 70s. So we're in the same range of guy here. I think that if they could find a way to hit on one of these players, it would be so huge for this draft class.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, kind of echoing what I just said about Ozzie, like, getting a guy with traits, and like Grant is a huge traits guy at tackle, very, very, like, athletic, very high agility. I think, like, he's going to need time to adjust to, like, the strength and the power of NFL defensive linemen, but having the, like, solid athletic base is a huge plus. Again, he's not going to have to start immediately, barring injury. So getting him time in the system will be huge for him. And, like, I can hear the argument of, like, well, why would you use a 3rd round pick on a guy who's not going to play right away? You use it on a guy when you feel comfortable and confident that he will become a starter who will then be there for X number of years in the future. And, like I said, luckily the Browns are still set along the O line with some, like, high quality players, but having Grant kind of, like, in the hopper, whether he becomes, like, the 6th O lineman for, jumbo sets or whatever, just get him in, get him working with those guys. I like the athletic profile, and I think he fits the zone scheme really well. Reading, like, about him, learning about him, like, the dude he did a bone marrow, like, donation for he helps some guy that was sick with leukemia.
Let me read this.
Like,
this is
it's
crazy.
It's a crazy story. Yeah.
So he didn't play football growing up. Started to wrestle in middle school, but didn't play football. And then in the spring of 2022, he added his name. This is from Dane's I don't understand how Dane gets this background on all these guys. It's actually unbelievable. But in the spring of 22, he added his name. This is Charles Grant to the National Bone Marrow Registry, and was notified in May 23 that he was a match for a 29-year-old battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. Grant underwent a day-long procedure called peripheral blood stem cell donation at MedStar Georgetown Hospital in Washington, D.C. to help that patient. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the, like, going on to the background, like the orange dot guy, like, he fits that perfectly. Like, outstanding dude, willing to do that for somebody that he probably didn't know.
Yeah. And he was a light guy. He started football in his junior year of high school.
Right.
Didn't play enough and didn't go to enough camps to get registered, like, recognized. He won awards. I mean, he was all district, but didn't get a chance to really make a name for himself in high school. So I think that the only FCS offer was William and Mary. So he goes there at like 240, which is crazy, and then just develops like mad.
Yeah. And he stayed there too. Like, I mean, in the era of NIL, and could have easily got poached. Like, sticks with William and Mary for 5 years.
Easily.
So
Yeah.
good dude.
Yeah. It's a really cool story, man. A first team All-American in 23 and 24, and team captain as well. So a lot of those peripheral pieces to like, and a talented SOB who will fit inside a developmental phase. Really, I'd be excited to have either of those guys in that spot. So good stuff. All right. I'll go back to you because you want to talk about your third day guy, which difficult. I mean, Skattebo could definitely be taken day 2, but I do think some of the age and some of the perceived limitations of Lenny is his flatline 40-yard dash in the mid 4.6s in this class depth. I do think he ends up being a 4th round guy, but we want to be clear he could very well go late day 2 in that 3rd round range too. But yeah, talk about your Skattebo love.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hoping for him to fall to day 3. I think that's like excellent value for a guy like Skattebo. He was kind of like watching him when I wrote up a newsletter on some of the running backs, and we talked about him after the fact. Like he was kind of what drove me to come up with this idea of doing this kind of podcast, because I just love the way he plays. He like the toughness, the contact balance, just can do so much on the field. But like when he's not necessarily the best athlete, the flashiest guy, he's not going to consistently break away from everybody, run away from everyone for a touchdown. Like, no, he's not that kind of player, but like he just like oozes grit and competitiveness to me on his tape. And I mean, I think he fits the town, let alone fits the team well. Like, this is a guy that I would love to get into the roster, on the roster, and like let him kind of do what he's good at. Yeah. I mean, there's it's so much. I just love his tape. Like, I mean, I'm kind of talking all over the place here, but like, I love his tape, and I think he can like his mindset would like add so much to the team and to like a position group now without Chubb that like might need some toughness back in the room. So like, I think he can add that, and like again, it's just a fun player to watch.
Yeah, I think what he brings is something that you can draft or UDFA a complementary piece to it, because you don't find many people who have the contact balance, toughness, but also really good. Like, he's not just defined by a 4.6 40. His short shuttle, change of direction, explosiveness in the vertical and box and broad jump stuff it's pretty damn good, man. So there's a really good running back in there. Hopefully he goes to the right place to tap into that. I wouldn't mind that being Cleveland in the slightest. Final guy I'm going to throw out is 5th round projection. Some places usually like in that 120 to 140 range, which is difficult because the Browns don't have a spot there right now. But Hunter Wohler's his name, safety out of Wisconsin, and probably not somebody you have heard all too much about. Okay, so listen, everything like, okay, if you look at like the peripheral stuff, he is the prototypical safety size, 6'2", 215 or so, just 22 and a quarter at draft time. So he'll turn 23 there in his rookie year, but won't be until late. But there's so many things to like in terms of like the athleticism. I mean, he's a 9.2 relative athletic score guy, mid 4.5 40-yard dash, checks the boxes there, 37 vertical, 10-foot broad. All of the athletic stuff's in place there. And when you combine that stuff with what you hear about him from like Jim Leonard and like what he was able to do in Mike Tressel's defense there too, and they play like a 2-4-5. They get real funky with their defensive backs and how they use their guys. But you hear Fickle and you hear these guys talk about him. They rave about him as a football player. And like they talk about his toughness, leadership, tackling ability. Like he's a better athlete than people. Like he was a 4-star recruit. So there was nothing here. He was actually ranked ahead of Braylon Allen in Wisconsin that year, as far as like what they were bringing in. So, but he comes from small town Wisconsin, like, that all of that multi-sport athlete type of stuff that matters, right? He did a whole bunch. He's just involved in so many different things. And, the academic stuff is really strong. He was an academic All-American. Like Like, just you want the whole picture of like, does his team believe in him? Did his coaches believe in him? Did he take off field stuff very seriously? Did he earn the respect of his team on the field and perform well on the field? I mean, you're talking about 16 passes defended across 3 years, 2 straight years of starting where he only missed 1 game, 200 tackles over the last 2 years, 6.5 tackles for loss, even though he's playing deep portions of the back. And 14 of those, passes defended were in the last 2 years, a couple interceptions too. So I think that Hunter's probably one of the most slept on safeties in the entire class, and would be a really good fit for like Northeast Ohio football, man. Like, I really think he would fit in well, provide depth at a spot that I think they obviously need more, and potentially a frontline player at some point in his career. I would grade him higher than a 5th round guy. I would put him early 4, could even see him going late day 3, but there's a bit of a divisive nature about his tape. I like him a lot. I think he would fit in what the Browns do well, and would have a nice rookie contract, potentially a second contract player here. So a little off the beaten path, but Hunter Wohler's my guy, man. I don't know if you've looked at him very much, but he can play.
Not a ton. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, he sounds like a really intriguing dude. Like, I think when you get to, obviously the Browns at this point don't have a 5th round pick. I think once you get into the 5th round, really, you're finding guys that like you're not really expecting to start right away, which makes sense. But if he's got the athleticism, he's got the toughness to like these guys got to hit on special teams first, kind of thing. Yes, the Browns need more help at safety, but like I don't think they would. Unless he blows it out of the water in training camp, I don't think they're expecting this guy to start right away. But if he can be a special teamer early, like that goes a long way in just keeping a guy around. And like if
right,
as the years go, if he learns the system more, gets better within the defense, learns how to handle NFL caliber receivers and tight ends and whatever they're gonna have him doing, like that's great. Like, that's huge. And like, if you can hit on a 5th round guy, and like hitting on a 5th round guy doesn't mean like him being a starter. Yeah, that'd be great because like you got huge value out of a guy you took late in the draft. But like hitting on a 5th round pick really means he's a great, especially as a defender. He's a great special teams guy. He's probably going to be a rotational guy on defense, or a package player on defense. And like it certainly, he seems like the kind of athlete that can fit that role.
right.
And I mean, yeah, again, like the way you describe him, like if you're confident that he can fit with the Browns and fit in, like the town in the area, like, I mean, that is the definition of an orange dot guy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to like about what he does early in his career. Obviously, they're not afraid to put safeties back there, minimal experience. Rodney Hickman proved that theory early for Jim Schwartz. They just want guys who want to do things the correct way. And I think, again, if he was when I watch the tape and I look at the athleticism marks, I'm like, what am I missing here? This guy should go somewhere meaningful, potentially up into the 3rd round. So I would not be surprised to hear his name called way earlier than people think. But if we're looking off of where consensus boards are, that's sort of where he falls. But I think he's a lot of fun and would be really, really tickled if the Browns are able to get him. But those are our orange dot guys. We wanted to talk through those just day by day. We have good things coming. I got a mailbag to post for you guys tomorrow. So that will come out based on, hello, we got a visitor. That will come out based on your guys' questions. Yeah, sometimes she wants to show up. Your guys' questions that you posted in the chat room there, if you're a subscriber to Browns Film Breakdown. So we will put that together. I'll answer all of those for you. And then maybe Scott and I'll try to throw something together predictive on the day. Maybe we'll do alternating 1st round picks. How you think of that, Scott? We'll do that for day 1. We'll go through that and pick those for you. And then we'll have plenty of great stuff up the day of with the show, and then some conversation afterward, and we'll go from there. So a lot of great draft coverage coming. Check out the long form mock draft that'll come up tomorrow. And that's all we have for today. So if you're not with us at Browns Film Breakdown, rectify that quickly, please. We would appreciate that if you would come over, give us a shot this weekend through the draft. I don't think you'll be disappointed. For myself and Scott, we thank you for being here. And as we always say, go Browns.